How do you know if you're healing? It's a very good question, and it's one that people have asked me a lot over the years. If you've been immersed in years or decades of trauma, pain, anxiety, depression, self-criticism, low self-esteem, abusive relationships, and you're working on stuff and you're still in the pain, how do you know if you're making progress? How do you know if you're healing? What would it look like? You are trying to create something you have no frame of reference for. You can't look back into the past and say, this was modeled for me here at this time in my life, and that's what I'm trying to create or to get to now. So how do you know what you're healing? How do you know if you are healing? Fantastic question. Everything I talk about on my channel is really about understanding emotions, raising consciousness, raising awareness, so that we can become aware of who we are, of what we are, of who we want to be, where we want to go, and then can consciously choose. So we can observe who we are, what's coming up in any given moment, and choose. The point is to allow ourselves to feel our feelings, but to also not be so immersed in our feelings that we're letting our feelings run us. Because if we're doing that, then we're no longer being the observer of the feelings. We are letting them control us, and we're acting out of those feelings or acting out of subconscious programming or childhood conditioning. And this is not a small thing. This is not something you can just say, okay, it's been a week, I worked on it, I'm done. This is something that we practice over the course of our life. But what I do know is that things get easier as you work on them. So when we change our inner dialogue, when we change our relationship to ourself, we will find that our life on the outside mirrors that change. If we have no boundaries, if we have low self-esteem, if we allow others to disrespect us and take advantage of us, if we feel like we're no good and therefore allow people in our relationships, any kind of relationship, to treat us like we're a doormat, that's a reflection that those relationships on the outside are saying, hey, you are not thinking well enough of yourself and you allow people to treat yourself this way. If we change that and then we begin to say, I'm not going to put up with abuse, I'm not going to put up with mistreatment because I don't need to please people who treat me that way. And if they get mad at me and they don't like it and they fall out of my life, well, good, that's fine. I don't need those people and I certainly don't want those people in my life. That is one way you know that you are healing. The old ways start to fall away as you begin to love yourself and fill your own cup up with you. And when you fill yourself up with you and that spills over, and then you can give from a place of healthy giving, not giving to get, not giving to stay safe, not giving to get protection, because that's what we learn as children, is that if I give to others and if I give them what they want, then I will get the safety that I need, because we weren't protected as children. So when we start to see what the game is, the soup we're swimming in, the conditions of our upbringing, and then we begin to see ourselves act this out in life. And then as we become conscious of it, we can say, oh yeah, there I am, I'm doing that again. Or I slipped into some old stuff, or I fell back into my default. And it's the process, the very gradual process of recognizing that we're doing that and doing something different in that moment. Easy to do? It depends. Sometimes it may come out very naturally and easily. Other times it takes a lot of effort and a lot of courage, but it's a process. So as you're going through this healing, we have to be patient and gentle with ourselves. Sometimes I've heard people say that they feel very impatient, like, come on, I just want to get this over with. I just want to be done healing. But you won't be, because that's just the process of life. We are always going to be working on our stuff. We're going to be working on ourselves. We're going to be doing some kind of personal development throughout life. And life will bring us challenges and confront us with things, with areas of ourselves that need growth and healing. So whether it's childhood stuff or just anything else, we are always getting some amount of the mirror held up to us that says, hey, look over here. You're getting triggered by by something happening, and that's your cue to pay attention, to reintegrate, and to nurture and love certain parts of yourself. So how do you know if you're healing? Here are some examples. You no longer look for a relationship to complete you and to make you happy. You enjoy your own company. You don't stick around for and tolerate relationships where you are treated with abuse or disrespect, because you know you will be okay on your own. You know that even by yourself, you will be happy and complete and whole just as you are. And so you're fine with that. That doesn't mean you don't ever get lonely, doesn't mean you don't ever have moments of insecurity or doubt, but it means that you love yourself enough to walk away from people who mistreat you, because you know you are enough on your own. It means that you give from a place of healthy giving. Again, going back to my earlier point, when you give to others, it's not with the underlying motive of wanting to stay safe, wanting to fit in, wanting to be included at the sacrifice of yourself. You give because it genuinely makes you feel good, with no strings attached, with no other agenda except that it gives you joy to help somebody else. You know you're healing when you stop beating yourself up. The inner critic, the internal judge, gets smaller. And that's, I know, is a tough one for many people, because we're so used to beating ourselves up. We grew up in an environment where there's so much fear and negativity, and everything is bad, and you are bad, and you need to be fixed, and all of these wrong messages that just aren't true. And so you learn to then see yourself that way. You learn to take it out on yourself. And that simply is not the case. It's not reality. It's not accurate. We all have strengths and weaknesses. We're all here to grow. And so when we make a mistake, or if we're in a period of our life where we're going through a lot of confusion and uncertainty and a lot of transition, whatever it is, and instead of saying, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, I should have this figured out by now, what the hell is my problem, all this stuff, or I screwed up, instead of going through that litany, which can go on for 10 minutes to 10 days, whatever, is we see that we're doing that and say, I could continue to do this, but it's really not going to help. It's only going to make me feel bad, and I know I can spiral downwards. Why bother? Another way you know you're healing is if you stop, if this is your issue, you stop directing hatred towards your body. You have this or this issue with your body you don't like. Maybe it's your weight, maybe it's your health, maybe it's something. And instead of directing hatred towards that part of your body, you start to say, you know what? This is my body, and I got a rockin' body, and I'm going to feel good about it. I'm going to feel good in my own skin, because this vessel that I have does so much for me. This body that I have, it is here to encapsulate my soul, to carry my essence while I am here on this earth. And I'm going to love my body, and I'm going to appreciate it, because we have so many negative messages about our bodies coming at us from all over, from the media, from everywhere we go, all these expectations of how we should be and what looks good and what doesn't. And so we need to give love to our bodies. The last thing I wanted to offer for you today, and this is by no means an inclusive list, is that you begin to trust yourself instead of looking to others outside of you to validate you all the time, to justify taking a certain course of action. You stop pulling people, or you call people up or text them, do you think I should do this or this? And instead, you listen to your inner voice, you listen to your intuition, you consider the facts, you weigh things out, and then you take your best course of action. You begin to trust yourself and that inner wisdom that you have, and know that if it ends up not being the right decision, you know that you made that decision for your own growth, because it was part of your path. You trust that there is a reason for that, and you'll grow and learn from it as you need, and then come out with more knowledge and more information, and then either continue on that path or make another choice if that's needed. So these are just some of the ways. Again, it always starts with us. How you think about yourself, what is going on in your head for most of the day. That's just those thoughts that are just cranking out, the monkey mind. Where are we spending our mental energy? And is it in a place that is loving to ourselves? And as we begin to be nicer and kinder and more loving to ourselves, the world around us changes. So, as I have often said, stay the course, keep going, and be loving and kind to yourself. You deserve that. You deserve this healing and nurturing energy, and you can give that to yourself. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me, for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.